he cried and said, Father Abraham, have mercy on me, and send Lazarus that he may dip the tip of his finger in the water and cool my tongue, for I am tormented in this flame. For I am tormented in this flame. Something like fire, and it's very tormenting. Take it like a parable if you like. But there was a man called Lazarus. Come the parable. And there is this rich man, once rich, but he come now to cry. I am tormented in this flesh. Sit down. The agony of the doomed. The agony of the condemned, called the doomed. I am tormented in this flame. Was the summary of the agony. The agony of the condemned criminal. The anguish, the tragedy, the pains. The doomed is condemned a criminal. The lamentation and the agony, the pains. He didn't learn it. He was not used to it. It was not a part of him. He never dreamt it. Suddenly it came. The whole riches, the whole enjoyment turned into agony. Just a second, just a minute in hell. The whole scenario changed. Just a minute in hell. He learned to call Abba, Abba. Father Abraham. He learned to call. Nobody taught him. He didn't get to theological school. He was not a church member. He had no time for church. He had no time for crusade. He never learned it. But just hell taught him. Hell taught him to learn to pray. Hell taught him to know how to be humble. Hell taught him what it means to pray fervently. Hell taught him all the whole lesson that theological schools cannot teach. Hell, 1 minute in hell, taught him how to pray, how to humbly pray, how to pray long, how to continuously pray, how to remain in prayer, how to refuse to give up, how to pray, cry, lamentation, paining. The anguish was real. And somebody could be saying, no need talking hell. And somebody could say, preach any other thing, but don't preach a hellfire. Tell us any other thing, but don't tell us the hellfire. The poor Lazarus died and was carried to the Abraham bosom, and he was resting in peace, never to be disturbed. But the rich man died later. Of course, the rich man had to die later. The rich man has to survive alone. The rich man has money for medical checkups. The rich man had aeroplane to take him to the best hospital. The rich man can even buy an organ and fix in the dead organ. So the rich man could stay long. It's natural that the rich man should die later. The poor man, Lazarus, died first. One small sickness that APC, ordinary APC could have cured, but he didn't have money to buy APC, so he died fast. But what is very perturbing is the kind of cry and prayer of this rich man. Who taught him to pray like this? I have gone through all levels of knowledge. I have never seen this kind of prayer. I've never seen. Well punctuated. Humble prayer. Sincere prayer. He first prayed for himself. First of all, he prayed for himself. And when he discovered that it's a waste of time, that his time has finished, that there's no need praying, that he is dead, there is no hope for him, he says, that's so, yeah. Then he switched over to praying for his family he left on. Selfless prayer. Praying for intercession, we call it now. This one, he's not praying for himself again. He wasn't praying for self-joy and peace and gladness. He had accepted that. But now, praying for his children, praying for his young ones, praying for the kind of prayer that even the charismatic could not pray. He learned to pray for others. Who taught him to pray like that? The pains, the agony. I told you of late Professor Awojobi, one of the greatest professors we had in the country, who always proved that there is no God as an atheist. You will prove it mathematically. No God. Cure ED. And everybody will be clapping. He tested this small hair. This hair, small, here on earth. When he was about to die, they took him to the best hospital. All the doctors, all the this, they had the money. They tried to rescue him. But his case was too much because he was live yet seeing this fire. It was not a film. It was not a film. He saw it. He saw them. If his body was already heated, why he had not given up? He cried. He shouted. He was shouting, fire, 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 fire. Few minutes to die. And the Reverend Fathers were called to come and give him the last sacrament or the honor. Sacrament, the asa, baptism, confirmation, Eucharistia, the asa, penance, extreme unction, others, the asa, and matrimony. It was the last sacrament. They called him to come. They called, come and give this man the last sacrament. And the Reverend Father came with Holy Communion to give to a dying man. It was the nurses and those who were around that pushed the Reverend Father backward. Don't give it for him. Let us see. Is it not Professor Wojobi that said there's no God? Don't ever give him. Let us see. He cried and cried and cried and cried and cried. Fire! Fire! Everywhere was heated. The whole house, the hospital was heated. And the last statement he said before he died, he said, oh God. And he gave up. Oh God. And people are saying, which God? He said there was no God. Throughout his life, he was proving no God. And now, at the point of death, he proved, oh God. With one statement, last statement he made, he cancelled all his professorship and all his theology and all the theism. One statement, oh God. You know, there are people living here on earth as if there would be no God. Hellfire will teach somebody a lesson. If you don't pray here, you pray there. If you are not humble here, you'll be humble there. If you don't accept Jesus here, you will definitely acknowledge him in hell. If you don't believe the Bible here, you will believe in everybody is a believer. Something will make you to believe. The only difference is, are you believing now or then? Beloved, a time shall come when every man lived here on earth shall be called a believer. The only difference will be those who believed at the correct time and those who believed later when there was no more chance. He prayed. He cried. And the Bible is talking in the book of Luke chapter 12 verse 5. He said, fear him which have power to kill and also to cast to hell. That's a place of torment. He said, I will show you whom you will fear. The Bible said, I will show you whom you will fear. You should fear him. He said him. He said him which has power to kill, and not just killing, but also to cast somebody into hell, a place of torment. The book of Matthew chapter 13, look at verse 41, 42. That all that offense and do iniquity shall be cast into a furnace of fire. All that offense, all that do iniquity shall be cast into a furnace of what? Fire. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. There's a place called fire, a fire, where it's like a furnace with brimstone. The stone will be turned red, meant to burn those that are condemned. It's like in this nation, when somebody is condemned, is sent into firing squad. He's condemned and is waiting for firing squad. That one is very easy because you just kill him with one bullet. Boom. But this one, die, you will not die. And people will be crying, they want to die. They need death. They want to die. But such death has no end. And they will be gnashing their teeth and crying. Look at Mark chapter 9, verse 43. He's talking of, and if thy hand shall offend thee, cut it off. If it is your hand that will offend you, do what? Cut it off. For it is better for you to die with one hand and make heaven than to be thrown into hell, where their worms dieth not, and their fire never be quenched forever and ever. The worms will never die, everlasting, tormenting worms, and the fire will never quench. That's where the rich man went. That's where this rich man found himself. Not because he was a thief. The Bible didn't tell us that he was one of the politicians that stealing Nigerian money. He is not a thief. He's not a fornicator. He's not an adulterer. He's not even given to Dibia. He's not even people who go to worship Muhammad. It's not because of that. It's not because of that he was thrown into hellfire, but simply because he had no regard and no time for God. That's the only difference. He never had regard. Maybe nobody told him. He never had time. The thing that would make him to know God, he didn't have time for it. The association that would have brought him close to God, he had no time for it. The ministry that would have brought him to know God, he never had time for it. So much busy, but busy outside God. He doesn't have a time. He said, listen, I don't have time for it. He focused on money. He was determined to make money, to make wealth, and he made a wealth. He was rich. He was stinkingly rich. He knew the principle of making wealth creation, how to make it, and he focused on that. But he didn't have time for the Creator. He didn't make time for him. The book of Luke chapter 12. Just look at verse 15 to see a similar thing. Luke chapter 12. Look at verse 15. And he said unto them, take heed and beware of covetousness. That's what I'm talking about. Maybe his own sin is covetousness. Covetousness, he will never be satisfied. Greedy of wealth. He knows that every 10 minutes means money. He wants to be the richest. Covetousness. And whatever he can do to get the money with mind, he is never satisfied. He will get billions. And he knows that he can never finish 1 billion. Yet he wants to get 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 billion. And he knows that he himself, the remaining part of life he has, he cannot finish 1 billion. But he wants triple. He wants 4, 5, 10 billion. No, 300 billion. Just making money. And there is that competition. And every time they make a roll call, he said, the 10 richest men in Nigeria, they will start from the last one. The last person is John. The second person is Livinus. The third person is Anthony. And then he just announcing it, the richest man. And then Livinus said, okay, is that where I am? I am still in number, maybe I'm the 8th one among the 10. Livinus said, I must fight to get to number 6. He will fight and fight and fight. All his fighting, he's not more counting his money. He's just counting, when will I take over to number 6? And eventually he took number 6. He said, no, I want to be number 4. He will fight his life, fight. As he's fighting number 4, he's fighting, everybody fighting. He said, I must take number 4. Whatever it means, is it to sell the whole local government? I will sell them all to get to this. Is it to do this? What will I do? That's what's happening. 10 million is not enough. 20 million is no amount of money. He want to, and even when he get to the number first, he want to maintain it. If anybody is trying to near him, kill him. Anything he can do to maintain that first position, even if it means producing something that will kill the whole Africa, kill all of them, so that he can remain the first position. He rich. There is an agony. Agony is facing and waiting. It's not bad to be rich, but if you become a rich man at the expense of God, if you become a rich man at the expense of holiness, you become a rich man, you are wealthy at the expense of God, there's a lamentation to come forever. The rich man said, I am tormented in this flame. I am tormented in this flame. And he came, you see it in his prayer. He wasn't praying as a joke. He was not acting it. He was praying from the heart. It was bottom of, no, I have never seen this kind of prayer. It's only Jesus that prayed that kind of prayer when he was in the flesh. He prayed until his sweat turned into blood. That's the kind of prayer this man prayed. He prayed for himself. He couldn't. He prayed for the wife. He prayed for the children. He prayed for this. Then he now told Abraham, now there is no hope for me. Send Lazarus to go and tell them so that they don't come here. I've never seen a good father like him. He had just turned to become a good father again. Overnight, he became a good father. He became a good husband. He became a good brother. He became a good leader. He became selfless. Send Lazarus that he may go and tell my people, or else they will die and come and meet me here. I don't want my mother to come here. I don't want my children to come here. I don't want my wife to come here. I don't want my country people to come here. I don't want. He became a holy man overnight. Who taught him that? Hellfire. Hellfire taught him to pray. Hellfire taught him to be holy. Hellfire taught him to be selfless. Hellfire taught him to love his brethren more than himself. Oh. The only problem is that he prayed too late. That's the only problem. I have examined this man's prayer, his innocence, his sincerity, his hunger, his crying. He prayed more than sincere. The only problem is that he prayed too late. If he had prayed this prayer 10 minutes before he died, he wouldn't go to hell. If he had prayed this kind of prayer 10 minutes before he died, all his family would be converted. If he had prayed this kind of prayer 10 minutes before he died, he would have changed the world. But he prayed too late. The rich man later prayed. I'm sure that all those rich men in Nigeria, they're praying in hell. Those who didn't pray here on earth, they will pray in hell. Only that the prayer would not mean anything. They will be crying, they will be speaking in tongues, they will pray, they will use language, they will speak Hausa, they will speak Igbo, they will speak they will speak, they will cry. They pray this side, they turn this side, they turn this side, they pray, they hold their hand, they hold their head, they hit their head, they will pray. Like millipedes, that black millipede, you will cry and cry and cry when you drop kerosene upon him. You pray that kind. That time, he won't have time to be judging the pastor. He won't have time to be placing blames. He won't just have time to make arguments. It is prayer day and night. Forever. The book of John, chapter 9, verse 4, makes us to know, Jesus speaking. He said, I must walk the walk of him that sent me. Now it is day. Now that it is day, for night cometh when no man can walk. No man. And people were asking Jesus, you have walked and have a rest, have a rest. He said, no, I must walk the walk of him that sent me. Now that it is still day, night cometh, when no man can walk. They may desire to walk, but there is no more time. It's like a one student that knew the subject very well in the exam. And I don't know what happened to him. He knew the whole thing, 5 questions to answer 4. He knew the 5 and go. And yet he was carried away. He was carried away. And while he was still writing and writing number 1 and go, what he had burns up. The man started shouting, I know all of them. I know all the questions. I know all the questions. I know all the questions. Master, I know all the questions. I know all. Just give me time. He said, if you write the one you have written is cancelled. There are many of us that have known so much that the little you know, if you use it to walk, because it is what you know, that opportunity you have, that's what you'll be used to judge you. If you know little, you'll be judged that way. If you know much, you'll be judged that way. That much you know, put it to work. Jesus said, I must have to walk the work of him that sent me. Now it is day. He had only 3 years to walk here on earth. And he had to walk round the clock because his night cometh. And when is that night? A day appointed for a man. Once. And after that judgment, a day of death. Death is the end of it all. For it is appointed unto man once, not twice, once to die. And after that, judgment follows. Whatever you have not done, you can't do it again. Prayer you never prayed, you can't pray it again. Preaching you never preach, you can never preach it again. The souls you are appointed to go and minister to, you will never minister to them again. They will now be turned to thing of judgment. Even the knowledge you have will now become a thing of judgment. After death comes judgment. And at such a time, there will be no time to walk again. Beloved, I will soon end this teaching. And I will allow you to pray. Pray. Pray as one who has only this opportunity in life. Pray as one who has this opportunity. You are not sure of tomorrow. Opportunity. Who does not know that prayer is a walk? Who does not know that preaching is a walk? Who does not know that giving offering, sacrifice is a walk? But all these things, we are given limited time to do it. After that comes what? Judgment. Hallelujah. You will be remembered. You will be judged by what you have done. You will be judged by what you failed to do. That's how we'll be judged. Beloved, anything you could not do within the few years you have now, you can't do it again. That is why when people say, pray for us sinners now till the hour of death. After death, there is no more prayer. This man is talking tormented. He was really tormented. And actually, he had merited by his heart, he had merited forgiveness. He had merited for deliverance. But he cried too late. Let me warn all of us, including myself, every one of us, that this thing will not continue like this. If we come here next year, we may not all be complete. That's a fact. Not all that gathered here last year were alive this year. Not all. I'm talking of CCMites. One sister I loved so much, I met her in Ghana when we preached. When I went to Ghana to minister many years ago, she was there to give her testimony. And she came to me and said, I learned you are a Catholic, or you are a Catholic minister. And go, I'm so thrilled. I used to be a Catholic. I go. He took interest. I said, where are you going now? He's mentioned the church. I said, what is so significant about that church? He said, this is our church, nobody dies. That their church, nobody dies. I said, it must be a new church now. He said, well, they have stayed, but nobody died. So since you went to that church, nobody died. He said, nobody died. And in their church, nobody had died. He said, the general overseer is a covenant with God that nobody will die in his church. And cool. I said, that's why you are there. He said, yes. He will not die. Nobody will die. I said, that's a wrong church. That's not a place to stay. He said, He said, that's not a place to stay. It's against the Bible. It's appointed unto man wants to die. He said, well, that's what we used to believe when we were the Catholic. I said, we still believe it today. We still believe it. He never believed that the book they are writing is how you will not die. I said, one day it will happen practical. And so a few years ago, almost 7 people died in the church. One, including her own husband, died. Who is a national man, died. And is a widow now. Nobody told her to leave the church. He ran for her life. So let me tell you before you think or you said that we didn't say it. All born of the flesh must die, or be transfigured, be raptured. But before you die, make sure you do what you ought to do correctly. The Bible also said in the book of Matthew chapter 7, verse 23, that at the end, there is going to be judgment. And in that case of judgment, you will hear the Lord speaking to a group of people, because two group of people will be separated, not 3. 2 group of people. Those in the right hand side, he will call them blessed, and they should go to the place prepared for them. And the other people, he will say, depart. I don't know you. That word depart. 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 Or you accursed. You that commit iniquity, you workers of iniquity, depart. Depart. The same thing, Matthew 25, verse 41, verse 30. You will see 2 group of people. Bible never mentioned 3 group of people. Anybody preparing, making the 3 group is a liar. What I'm saying that purgatory is not real. If you believe in purgatory and think that when you are in purgatory, people will pray and you move from purgatory to heaven, is a lie. If you die, you either go to heaven or you go to hell. And whichever one you get to,